the Commonwealth money by keeping people from long-term dependence on welfare benefits. And it proposes to change the law so that people may receive a one-time benefit that will prevent them from staying on welfare during a 12-month period. And with that, Mr. President, I move the bill pass.
Thank you, Senator. The senator from Harrisonburg, Senator Obenshain.
Mr. President, I would ask if the gentlelady would, senior senator from Norfolk, would yield for question.
The senior senator from Norfolk yield for a question.
My great pleasure.
The senator yields. The senator from Harrisonburg, Senator Obenshain.
Mr. President, I would ask whether, under current law, diversionary assistance grants are presently available for persons, but they can only receive them once every 5 years.
Senior senator from Norfolk, Senator Miller.
Mr. President, that is true. The reason the change has been proposed is that with the downturn in the economy, more people are suffering reverses, and therefore we are trying to keep people off of 16 months of welfare benefits with a one-time chance to do something.
Senator from Harrisonburg, Senator Obenshain.
Further question, if I may.
The senator yield for a further question.
My pleasure.
Senator yields. Senator from Harrisonburg, Senator Obenshain.
I thank the gentlelady for mentioning the downturn in the economy, and I would ask the gentlelady whether, in fact, it would be fair to assume that the number of persons applying for TANF assistance and therefore temporary assistance grants is likely to rise as a consequence of the downturn in the economy.
Senior senator from Norfolk, Senator Miller.
Mr. President, I don't have a crystal ball, but I would say that the chances are that there will be more people unemployed because of the downturn in the economy and need assistance. I would further say, Mr. President, that in this state, we are not of a mind to let people suffer without providing some assistance.
Senator from Harrisonburg, Senator Obenshain.
Mr. President, I would ask the gentlelady to yield for a further question.
My great pleasure.
Senator yields. Senator from Harrisonburg, Senator Obenshain.
Mr. President, in light of the downturn in the economy, I would ask the gentlelady whether it would also be fair to assume that the average grant pursuant to the diversionary assistance program would likely rise, and I would point out that the maximum grant, I believe, is somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,400, and right now the average grant is in the amount of $541.
Senior senator from Norfolk, Senator Miller.
Mr. President, he has asked a question that I cannot answer. I really don't know that.
Thanks. Senator from Harrisonburg, Senator Obenshain.
I thank the gentlelady. Mr. President, speaking to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this bill represents a fundamental change in the way that we do business with respect to our TANF program. As most of you will remember, in 1995, Virginia really was on the leading edge of welfare reform in this nation. As a matter of fact, the changes that we made here in Virginia really became a model for use across the nation in the adoption of federal laws during the Clinton administration, sponsored by the president, by the administration at that time. And one of the components of our welfare reform program was a very important thing called diversionary assistance grants. And it does, as the gentlelady from Norfolk points out, it does provide social services with the ability in certain circumstances to divert people from long-term dependence upon public assistance. That's a good thing. Somebody may have a car that's broken down, may not be able to get to work, may lose their job unless they can get their car fixed. And this was designed to help bridge the gap, help meet a crisis, to divert them from receiving those benefits. However, it was an important component that was negotiated into this, that it would not be something that would be routinely made available. It was important that it be made available only occasionally. And Virginia decided that we were going to make this kind of diversionary assistance available only once every 5 years. And I would point out that Virginia still is on the leading edge of the wave in this regard as well. There are only 20 states in the nation that provide diversionary assistance grants. And of those, there are 5 that provide them once a year. The remainder, 7 actually, limit it to 1 diversionary assistance grant ever. 1 ever. The states that provide it once a year are states that, frankly, have much lower caps. As I mentioned, the cap for diversionary assistance grants in Virginia is about $1,400. In most of these other states, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $800. Now, I looked at the fiscal impact statement that was attached to this with great interest, and I know what the appeal was for this bill. We're all looking to provide people with a helping hand and to bridge the gap and help people achieve self-sufficiency and retain self-sufficiency, and we're all for that. One of the appeals of this was that the fiscal impact statement showed that we were going to realize a savings of about $300,000 a year by allowing these grants to be made once a year as opposed to once every 5 years. And with due respect, I would submit that these savings are based on assumptions that are about as optimistic as those assumptions that went into forming our revenue projections for this biennium. They are based upon assumptions that just, quite frankly, don't hold up. And I did the math. I went back through and calculated this. And the savings would be wiped out if any one of these factors occurred. First, if the Department of Social Services is wrong about the number of people who are going to be diverted from long-term TANF assistance the second time around. These grants are pretty good. First time around, they divert somewhere in the neighborhood of 80% of the applicants from having to reapply for TANF benefits. Department of Social Services says that if somebody's going to come back, if we give them just one more, we're going to be able to divert about the same percentage of those on a long-term basis again, which I respectfully submit is hopelessly optimistic if they come back a second time. It also is hopelessly optimistic if indeed it reduces the number of people who never return for TANF benefits. It's also hopelessly optimistic if, as pointed out in one of my questions, the average diversionary assistance grant increases. Right now, it's $541. If that goes up by only $100 to $641, it wipes out the savings, and that's not a stretch in light of the fact that the maximum benefit is $1,400. It also is flawed if it increases the number of people who actually apply for diversionary assistance, which I respectfully submit is also likely. Any one of those things wipes out the savings, and I respectfully submit that all 5 of those things are events that are likely to occur, and I respectfully submit that this fiscal impact statement is significantly flawed, and that this proposal not only is going to cost us more money, but more importantly than that, the purpose of this program was to break the cycle of dependency. And this does precisely the opposite. It increases the cycle of dependency. The incentive should be quite the opposite. I'm proud of what Virginia has done in welfare reform. I'm proud of the results that Virginia has achieved. We've achieved an 84.9% decrease in TANF recipients since 1994. 84.9%. That's incredible. We are 7th in the nation in that regard. We've done a good job with our welfare reform proposals. And I respectfully submit that this has the potential of messing up what we have worked hard to accomplish. And I would ask the members of the body to vote no on this well-intentioned measure.
Thank you, Senator. The senator from Chesterfield, Senator Martin.
Mr. President, I rise to speak